north of Los Angeles has claimed 2 lives and hundreds of structures. Authorities are saying it was an elderly couple that was killed. They were overcome by smoke as they were trying to escape. Despite some warnings, families had little time to gather their belongings and leave.
A major highway in Arizona shut down for several days by a wildfire has reopened. Officials in Navajo County say a stretch of US 60 is open to traffic, but fire crews and helicopters are still working in the area. The governor of West Virginia requesting a disaster declaration after historic flooding across parts of his state.
They're still waiting for the water to go down in some parts of this county. So some of the houses still have water in the homes. They're waiting for the water to completely go down so they can get into some of these towns and really get a look at what the damage looks like there. FEMA is deploying teams to help with the damage assessment. The governor has authorized to have more National Guardsmen deployed to be able to help with this situation.
ABC's Eva Pilgrim in Greenbrier County, at least 23 people are dead. The Coast Guard has suspended its search for a family from Sarasota, Florida, who had been missing for almost a week. The bodies of a father and his teenage daughter have been found. 2 teenage sons are still missing. The family was sailing to Fort Myers. An online petition in Britain getting more than 1.5 million signatures. It's calling for a second referendum on leaving the European Union. You're listening to ABC News.
WBEN Buffalo, WKSE HD3 Niagara Falls. Listen to WBEN anytime, anywhere. Online at WBEN.com, with our app on your phone, and now on TuneIn.com. News Radio 930 AM WBEN.
Hi, this is Sandy Beach for Jameson Electric, Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Do you have a furnace that may need to be replaced? Do you have a home without air conditioning? If you answered yes to both questions, then Jameson has the offer of a lifetime for you. For a limited time, Jameson is offering a free air conditioning unit when you purchase a new high-efficiency furnace. You heard me right. Buy a new furnace and your whole house air conditioning is free. Call 316-2302 and ask for the Sandy Beach 2-for-1 offer. That's 316-2302. This is a $700 value and only for WBEN listeners. Buy a new high-efficiency furnace and get the AC unit for free. Call Jameson for all the details and to set up your no-obligation free in-home estimate. 316-2302. Jameson offers everyone who purchases during this 2-for-1 deal interest-free financing. But again, this offer is for a limited time. Call 316-2302 and get your free whole-house AC with your new furnace purchase. Just ask for the Sandy Beach 2-for-1 deal.
We are where you are. News Radio 930 AM WBEN. Always where you are. On the air. On your radio. 24/7 and 930 AM. Streaming live online at WBEN.com. The latest news, weather, and information on demand at WBEN.com. At home, at work, on your computer, on your phone. Plus, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We are where you are. News Radio 930 AM WBEN. WBEN.com.
The River Grill on the water in Tonawanda near the Chevy plant. Great food and live music 7 days a week, all summer long. Visit rivergrillmusic.com for more information. Remember, live music every day, rain or shine.
The WBEN First Alert forecast calls for a sunshine today. It's going to be nice and warm, a high of 86. Tonight will be clear, a low 61 well inland to 66 in the city. Tomorrow, sunny to partly cloudy, quite warm for the afternoon. We're actually going to approach the record high of 93. We'll hit 90. And then sunshine will mix with a few more clouds on Monday. Shower thunderstorm in the area with a breeze and a high of 85. With the WBEN First Alert forecast, I'm meteorologist Maggie Johnson.
The following is paid programming.
It's time to talk taxes.
New friends, new opportunities, new partners. EG Tax.
It's Ask the Tax Lady with Esther Gulius and EG Tax on News Radio 930 WBEN. To reach Esther now, call 803-0930. Toll free at 1-800-616-9236. And cell calls are free at star 930. And now, live from the WBEN studios, it's Esther Gulius.
Hey, everybody, this is the Tax Lady, and this is our hour to talk taxes. And boy, do we have a special show for you today. All of you that are going to continue to live and get older, You should pay special attention because being young has a set of financial problems, but getting old has another set of problems. And we have a special guest. By the way, I'm going to say, hey, Tiffany Fabian's here.
Hey, Chris is not here. I should do hello.
That's true. Tiffany Fabian's here. She's my right-hand gal, and but our special guest is Jeffrey Katz, who is just an all-around phenomenal man who happens to be the greatest elder care attorney, I think, that could be. And so if you're getting older or you plan to get older and you're wondering about all those things pertaining to getting older, guess what? You get free legal advice today. 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. And Mr. Katz, how are you?
I'm well, Esther. Thank you very much for having me. I
Oh, my
appreciate
gosh.
it. And that intro's a little too much, but I
No,
appreciate it.
but it's the
So,
truth. It's the truth. He happens to be my own attorney, and most of the time when you recommend somebody, people don't always call back and say, "Thank you for," especially attorneys. They don't call and say thanks for, but they say, "Oh my gosh, Jeffrey Katz is the nicest guy, and he's so smart," and it's true. And so it's so great because I get to brag on you because you are so braggable.
Well,
you
thank
are so
you, Esther.
braggable.
I appreciate it. You make me blush over here.
I know.
So anyway, 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. Okay, so let's start off with, by the way, you're on Main Street in Clarence.
Main Street, actually in Clarence. Yep,
Yeah, and you're
8604 Main Street.
And it's Katz and Berry.
Correct.
But I
Lawful-
like to think of Katz and Bear because it sounds like a little zoo over there. But Katz and Berry. All right, so who needs to do an elder plan?
Okay, when we talk about elder plan or estate planning, it's really a variety of people. As we're talking about the elderly, as somebody ages, there's multiple issues. One is
So if
always
you don't
taxes.
die, this is an important thing.
Yes, if you figure a way not to die, then you don't need to do estate planning. But otherwise, everybody really needs to take a look at what happens with their assets when they pass away. Is there going to be a tax issue, an estate tax issue, which we'll talk about today? And then a lot of part of our practice is dedicated now to what's really called elder law planning, which is trying to protect the assets if somebody needs to go into a nursing home and how that gets paid
And
for.
I know a lot of people are so concerned with the nursing home aspect because really you save all your life. You're saving and saving and hoping you're going to give something to your heirs, and then comes in, and you're feeling really good. You maybe be doing biking and everything. You're 60-some, 70-some years old, and then all of a sudden you didn't do any plans. Boom, you go into a nursing home, and they make you a private pay patient.
Yeah, it's just not fair how much nursing homes cost. Nursing homes cost, $150,000 a year,
Right.
and that will eat up many of the people's savings. So as our listeners are out there, that becomes one of their biggest concerns over the last. I've been doing this for almost 30 years, and it's a growing part of my practice, and many attorneys in Western New York who concentrate their practice on elder laws because we're trying to help people, citizens, protect their assets if they end up in a nursing home.
Don't you think like the first thing is like coming to grips with the fact nobody likes to admit they're getting older. We dye our hair, we get facelifts, we exercise at the gym. Nobody wants to think they're getting older, but really the plan has got to be there. But it is your money. If you want to spend your money on a nursing home, hey.
Right, but very few people do. So you have to plan. You have to plan in advance. There are certain Medicaid rules that are out there. One of them is a 5-year look back. So it's not something that in most situations can be done spontaneously. So it is. But as you said, nobody's thinking about going to a nursing home.
Right.
No, that's not something. If you were to ask your parents, your grandparents, nobody wants to go into a nursing home. Unfortunately, given how long people are living and how good their health care can be, we end up with many more people in nursing homes than we ever did in the past.
Right.
Jeff,
Now, yeah.
I was going to say, somebody said to me they wanted to stand on the table. They said to me the 5-year look back is becoming the 6-year look back. Is that true? Or are they thinking of changing it?
As of right now, the law is 5 years.
Okay.
So could they change it? Yes. I mean,
Okay.
the government can make these laws,
Right.
but no. Right now, it's
Okay.
5 years.
That's what I
and,
told them.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's while people are driving in their cars now and maybe getting ready to go to church, and maybe they're both approaching 60s, in their 60s, 70s, and they haven't done anything, and they really have wondered, what is the 5-year look back? What does that really mean for people? Does that mean that they look back at your pictures 5 years ago? I mean, what is it that's ticking?
Sure. The 5-year look back is really when somebody is applying for Medicaid, The Medicaid will look back 5 years, and they will look back at every piece of financial paper that you have. They'll look at bank statements, annuity statements, stock and bond statements, the deed to your house, and look what's happened in all of those assets over the last 5-year period.
So if you had total assets, let's say today's the beginning of the 5th year, we have total assets of a house and some savings accounts, let's say of $150,000. All right?
Yep.
So you then, and you're in good health. So what would be your goal?
Sure. So what happens, basically, I think a good way to do this is take a step back. So if somebody goes into a nursing home, it gets paid for one of 3 ways. The first is by insurance. Insurance, we have health insurance. So health insurance will pay for generally very little bit. They'll pay for what's called rehab. When someone goes into a nursing home, they're getting rehabbed. So that can be 20 days up to 100 days. But basically, health insurance does not pay for long-term care costs for somebody who's in a nursing home.
Okay.
The second would be private. It would be any other insurance coverage, which would be a long-term care insurance policy. So if somebody who is in their 50s or 60s has bought a long-term care insurance policy, that will then, you're insuring against going into a nursing home.
Right.
That would pay the bill. So if we take insurance off the table, then the next one would be private pay versus Medicaid. And that's really where the 5-year look back comes into play.
So the goal then would be to have Medicaid pick it up as opposed to the individual pay for it, correct?
For most people,
because
that would
of
be,
a plan.
Yeah, so when we develop an elder law plan for clients, that's the goal. That Medicaid will pay the bill if long-term care, if somebody needs to stay in a nursing home, preserve the assets either for the other spouse or for the kids.
Okay, and which is a really cool idea. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady, with Jeffrey Katz. He's an elder care attorney. His phone number, if you don't want to be on the show and don't want to ask things over the radio, you want to talk to Jeff personally next week, 633-3363 is his phone number, 633-3363, a lot of threes, couple sixes, and you can set up your own elder care appointment to talk about these things. But in the meantime, if you're thinking about this, wondering about the 5-year look back, wondering about your assets, how much you can still retain, should you gift away your house, should you do the life estate? What is a life estate? Give us a call in studio, 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. And that brings me to the question then, how much can you retain and still be Medicaid eligible?
Sure, because as we talk about the 5-year look back, that really means at the end of that period and somebody applies for Medicaid. So if we have a loved one that's in a nursing home, and they've run out of money. What does running out of money mean? If you're a single individual in Erie County, you can get onto Medicaid if you've reached the limit, and the limit's $14,800. So if you have more money than that, then Medicaid will not pay the bill.
Okay.
If you're a married couple and there's a community spouse means that there's a spouse living in their own home in the community, and one spouse is in the nursing home. The spouse that's in the nursing home can qualify for Medicaid, and the community spouse still can keep the house, basically regardless of value. The community spouse can keep assets as a round number, just under $100,000, and those are the assets the community spouse gets to keep, and then Medicaid will still pay the bill for the person who's in the nursing home.
For the other spouse.
Correct.
Right. Now, how do they allocate how much of it goes to the nursing home
Sure. If it's
candidate versus the other spouse?
If it's above, all the assets of the couple count really for
Right.
both of them. So if it's above the limit, then that money is going to be used as private pay to pay for the nursing home.
Now, is it hard to get somebody into a nursing home if they're Medicaid?
That's a great question. It's first of all, when we talk about Medicaid, for anybody who looks at the real property tax bill here in Erie County, you'll see a Medicaid number on there, and it's a very large percentage of what we're paying in property taxes is going to pay for Medicaid, which in large part is residents of nursing homes.
Right.
So we the taxpayers are paying to support this, and that number then is coming out of the taxes to pay for people to be there. But in order to qualify, then the government has an obligation to pay for those who need it.
Right.
So is the care suboptimal?
It's the same care.
That's what
it's the
I
same
mean.
care. But Esther, as you asked,
Facilities?
it's the exact same care in the facility. You know,
Okay.
they don't put a red sticker on the bed. And,
Oh,
you know,
there's
do
the
something like
Medicaid
that.
guy,
Yeah,
Medicare
exactly.
guy.
But it is trickier to get in, certainly, because people who own nursing homes are.
So then, is it a good thing to plan to be a private pay patient for a while?
I know I've watched a lot of people do that. They'll start off private pay, Jeff, and then they'll slip into Medicaid while they're already in the facility.
The vast majority of people who are in facilities
Right.
on Medicaid started as private pay.
Okay.
So clearly you go in as private pay, you run out of money, you become Medicaid.
Okay.
So when we do elder law planning, it's always about shortening the time period that somebody is going to be private pay so that they can preserve some assets for either their spouse
Okay,
or
and they
for
don't
their
give you
kids.
like special balloons if you're a private pay.
they don't.
And
They-
flowers.
No,
nothing
they just
like
give you a
that.
big bill. So.
I'm Esther Gullius, the tax lady from EG Tax. We have our special guest in studio today, Jeffrey Katz. He's an elder law attorney. This is some of the best information you're going to get. If you've ever wondered about these things, you can call us here, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. We have Carol, Elaine, and your questions on the other side of the break. We'll see you on the other side.
Now that April 18th is gone, you may be thinking that tax season is over. But at EG Tax, we think it is never over. And now it's money season. Our belief is to keep money in your pocket where it belongs. Call us today for reviewing, tax planning, or even still to prepare your return. Call 632-7886 today. Again, 632-7886. And come join our family, 632-7886.
When faced with the uncertainty of an aging parent and what to do with their finances, you may have dozens of questions. Things like preparing for long-term care and the cost involved, or having the family home gifted to the children are among them. Jeffrey Katz, an elder care law attorney, will help you navigate all of the potential problems and solutions. Jeffrey Katz has been a longtime associate of EG Tax, and they are proud to recommend him to their listeners. Call Jeffrey Katz at 633-3363. That's 633-3363. Jeff will help you plan. Attention real estate investors. Thinking of selling investment property? Pay no tax. Call R.J. Gullo Companies, qualified intermediaries for 1031 exchanges and real estate investment specialists. For a free consultation on how to pay no tax when selling investment property, call 675-1500 or online at rjgullo.com. That's 675-1500 or online at rjgullo.com.
Hi, this is Esther, and let me tell you how great it is to have an insurance agent like Nationwide's Bill Barber. Bill's 40-plus years experience has saved me money on my premiums and potential claims. Have an insurance question, problem, or crisis? Bill will work with you personally without calling an overseas customer service number. All I can say is whenever I need someone on my side, I'm glad to have Nationwide's Bill Barber.
For all your insurance needs, call the Bill Barber Agency at 688-2199. Call 688-2199 today.
Nationwide is on your side.
This is Attorney Dennis Kitchen. Do you have a will? You may say no because you've never had one written, but in that case, the state law determines who gets your property after you die. Wouldn't you rather decide that yourself? Then you should call my office about writing a will. We can also explain living wills, powers of attorney, and suggest other ways to preserve property or transfer it to loved ones. I'm Dennis Kitchen, and I'd like to help.
For wills and estate planning, call attorney Dennis Kitchen at 716-631-5661.
Barbecue season is here. Wentz Propane and Oil will fill your propane tank for only $10. You can also ask about their new customer pricing for next year's heating season. Mention EG Tax and get your discount today. Call 731-9826 or 731-3015.
That's what the tax guy says, but not me, boy. This is Esther Gullius. I want to get you all your money. And really, taxes are what we have to do every year regarding our income. But I will tell you what I've really found out in the tax business is that it's not just what you pay in taxes, it's what you have after your taxes are paid, and that's where your finances come in. And so that's why this time of year, we do special shows that not only talk about taxes but also talk about issues that are important to you, and that's why we have Jeffrey Katz, an elder care attorney specialist, my own guy who helps me with everything. And I want to tell you, you will get some great answers to your questions if you have any kind of elder law questions, or if you just have a tax question. Give us a call, 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone, and we're going to go to Carol from Cheektowaga. Hey, Carol, how can we help you?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks for waiting.
I have income property, but I think that's all taken care of. But my biggest concern is my husband. He's younger than I am. I know I was one of those cougars before they were popular. The problem I have is he's not on my house, and I don't know if that's an issue or not.
You mean he's not on the deed?
He's not on the deed to your house?
The deed, no.
Okay.
Oh. Well, there's two. As we talk about deeds, the title to real property, it's very important in a couple of different contexts. One is as we talk about the general estate planning, not necessarily elder law in the nursing home. General estate planning, when one spouse passes away, the house does not automatically transfer to the other if the name is not on the deed, not on the title. So in the way that you're talking about, it generally between spouses makes sense to have both names on the deed for estate planning purposes, so that when one spouse passes away, it would pass automatically to the other. In the elder law context that we were just talking about with regard to nursing homes, doesn't matter whose name is on the deed.
So you said it's sort of problematic. What would she do? What would Carol do if what would her husband do if he survives past her? What does he go?
Right. In that way, then, because when she passes away, if her name is if a person's name is alone on the deed,
right.
So Carol's name is alone on the deed, your husband would not secure ownership of the property without having to go and actually probate your estate, which is a different topic we were just talking about, but you probate your estate, and then assuming the estate comes to him, he would then secure ownership of the property by having to do a whole bunch of legal work to make that happen.
In other words, it would cost legal fees.
It's easier to do it while you're alive, Carol, than when you pass away, would be a quick piece of advice.
Okay, and then with elder care, because I'm older than he is it, I mean, I know I had it for my mom, but my mom had way more money than I do. We're poor family. Have any, I mean, I have the house, but as far as investments and stuff like that, I don't have that stuff. And is it expensive to buy long-term insurance? I mean, is that something that I should?
Well, it always depends on age and health in terms of long-term care insurance, and there's many qualified financial professionals that sell the insurance product. It's generally a pretty expensive product because it has such benefit. In other words, so many people end up in nursing homes that the product itself by the companies that sell it has gotten pretty expensive. All that said, it's a very worthwhile product. As an elder law attorney, I advocate that people who can afford it and are proper age and health go out and buy long-term care insurance because it can make it that much easier when they do go into a nursing home.
But here's the thing, Carol and Jeff, and you get kind of jumping in here. If you have modest assets, okay,
right,
then it probably would be very easy to go on Medicaid, right?
Absolutely.
Without buying the nursing home
But then she talked about having income property. So do you have more than one house, Carol?
Well, yes, I do. My daughter is technically living in an income property.
So that's an asset of yours.
Yes.
Correct. And any assets that you own, as we were talking about those limits before for elder law and qualifying for Medicaid, rental property, any other real estate that you would own, a vacation home, any other houses, those count as assets, which would then, as a general rule of thumb, disqualify a person from qualifying for
Carol,
Medicaid.
Let me ask you this: how much is your rental house worth? Would you think on the open market?
It's about $100,000, but I'm not on that deed. My husband is alone on that deed.
Okay, so here we get back to the deed question. So in terms of in the elder law planning between a married couple, it does not matter whose names are on the deed. In other words, you own the house, your husband owns the rental property. for Medicaid purposes, you both own both properties.
Okay, so she's got the $100,000 rental. How much is your personal home worth, Carol?
Probably 90,000.
So like 190. And you have any other assets besides that?
No. No.
Okay, so that would be over the Medicare, Medicaid.
It would be slightly over. So basically, it'd be hard to qualify for Medicaid depending on other bank accounts and things like that. Right. But again, as a married couple, you're allowed to have your home, your primary residence, and then the married couple could have just shy of $100,000 in assets collectively.
All right, so then they'd be right.
They're closer to Medicaid. You'd be closer to qualifying for Medicaid than you think, and that happens to a lot of people, Esther, that they don't realize that if you have a community spouse again, because if you're a single individual, those go away. But if you have a community spouse,
so it's a good time to get married.
Right? If that's the reason.
No, but the whole thing is, and that's what when I talk to my clients. A lot of times people will be very concerned about the Medicaid aspect in the nursing home. And the truth is, you can say to yourself, I say to myself, and I'm not an expert like you, gee, I think they could get onto Medicaid, boom, right away without having to buy nursing home insurance and things of that nature. But then there's that next tier who might be at $250,000 or $300,000. And what would happen if they don't do any planning, they would become... They have to pay their own way until there is no more money.
Absolutely,
right?
They'd have to private pay down to the Medicaid limits,
right?
And they could lose in
those
essence,
assets, all the stuff that they worked for all their life. So that's what's so important. Carol, did we answer your question?
Yeah, but I also heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, that if you don't have private pay, at least in the beginning, you have a problem getting into some of the better facilities. Because they do choose somebody who has private pay over somebody. Now, I'm not sure if that is true or not.
Well, it's up to that's up to the institution certainly, but for nursing homes, they do get paid more on a private pay basis than they would be reimbursed by Medicaid. So certainly it would be logical that if they had a choice of private pay versus somebody on Medicaid, they'd prefer the private pay individual. So.
Okay, Carol?
You did answer a lot of my questions. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks Carol.
Thanks.
I'm Esther Goliath, the tax lady, in studio with an elder care specialist. Jeffrey Katz is an attorney. 8604 Main Street in Clarence is where he's at. His phone number, if you want to call and talk to him privately, and the initial consultation I know is at no charge, 633-3363 is Jeff's phone number, 633-3363, and I have to tell you, you're going to get some great help. And what we want to do here today is help you if you have any questions, like have you thought about gifting your house? Have you thought about doing a life estate? What is a life estate? Do you give over ownership in a life estate? Things of that nature. If you have questions, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. And so, Jeff, when you do a life estate, what is a life estate? And are you giving away ownership? And
sure, and probably the most common elder law technique is a deed with a life estate. And the purpose for that is to have the family protect their house. So, mom and dad have lived in the house for 30, 40 years. They want to be able to have that house for the next generation. So they take the house, they deed it to the kids. They keep what's called a life estate, which is really life ownership. When you do that, you don't lose your property tax exemptions. It starts the 5-year clock running on the house, and it protects the value of the house for the next generation.
Okay, do the parents retain any percentage of ownership?
Well, the life estate has a value. So it actually, if the house was sold, for example, there is a percentage, an actuarial table that would give them a percentage interest in that. But most importantly, they do retain the ownership and control of the property, so they can't be kicked out by their kids.
As opposed to gifting the property to the kids.
As opposed to an outright gift, correct.
Right.
Which is why we like, and that's why I do almost exclusively for my clients, deeds with life estate to protect the house.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, from a tax standpoint, it's much better to do the life estate too, because then it goes through the estate and it gets a stepped up basis.
Exactly.
As opposed to a gift, which goes back to mom and dad's original basis, and the kids end up paying the taxes on it. So that's what is also important. Okay, if you are sitting there wondering about what to do, should you really do an elder plan? Is this really for you? Should you have a will? Give Auntie Esther and her crew here a call in studio, 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. And we're going to take a short break. We're going to break for news. I think, Mr. Joe, are we? In 30 seconds. I got to wait for 30 seconds. All right, we're going to break for news. Would join us on the other side. Again, we have Jeff Katz in studio, an elder care attorney. His phone number, 633-3363. I'm Esther Gilius, the tax lady. See you on the other side of the news.
No rest for firefighters across the West today. They're battling 17 wildfires. One of the worst has destroyed at least 150 homes north of Los Angeles. Deputy Incident Commander Joe Reyes.
We're not done. We got to make sure it's secure, look for those smokes. We do have hot spots, especially around the residents. Still a lot of heat in the ground, still a lot of stuff burning there that we need to put out.
At least 2 deaths are blamed on that fire, an elderly couple who tried to flee the flames. New Mexico Governor of West Virginia, Earl Ray Tomblin, wants a federal disaster declaration after days of historic flooding. At least 23 people are dead. A woman struck by lightning while wading in ankle-deep water in Volusia County, Florida, on a beach is dead. 2 other people were hit. They've been hospitalized. The European Union wants a quickie divorce now that Britain's voted to end its 43-year membership from the 23-nation bloc. Commissioner Jean-Claude Juncker says it wasn't a tight love affair anyways. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
Did you receive a letter from the IRS or New York State taking money out of your pension to pay debts, thinking of retiring, got married, had children? Who can you turn to make all the right decisions for taxes so that you don't end up in a financial mess come next tax season? EG Tax is here to guide you and be in your corner all year long. Call 632-7886 today. Again, 632-7886. And come join our family, 632-7886.
When faced with the uncertainty of an aging parent and what to do with their finances, you may have dozens of questions. Things like preparing for long-term care and the cost involved, or having the family home gifted to the children are among them. Jeffrey Katz, an elder care law attorney, will help you navigate all of the potential problems and solutions. Jeffrey Katz has been a longtime associate of EG Tax, and they are proud to recommend him to their listeners. Call Jeffrey Katz at 633-3363. That's 633-3363. Jeff will help you plan.
In the nation, they go by Guardian, Lifesaver, and Friend. At Nationwide Insurance, we just call them agents. We put members first because we don't have shareholders. Join the nation that cares.
Nationwide is on your side.
I have an insurance agent who cares. That's why Bill Barber has been my agent for 15 years. For any insurance needs, call Bill. 688-2199.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio. Subject to underwriting guidelines, review, and approval.
With barbecue season in the air, it means that it's summer. Who thinks about taxes in the summer? Well, EG Tax does, and that's why we offer free tax advice, free seminars, and even a free tax course. When you have questions, don't ask Uncle Jimmy over hamburgers and hot dogs. Call EG Tax at 632-7886 to answer your questions. Or if you're interested in our free tax course, also give us a buzz. Call 632-7886. That's right, 632-7886 to join our family.
This is Attorney Dennis Kitchen. Do you have a will? You may say no because you've never had one written, but in that case, the state law determines who gets your property after you die. Wouldn't you rather decide that yourself? Then you should call my office about writing a will. We can also explain living wills, powers of attorney, and suggest other ways to preserve property or transfer it to loved ones. I'm Dennis Kitchen, and I'd like to help.
For wills and estate planning, call attorney Dennis Kitchen at 716-631-5661. Attention real estate investors. Thinking of selling investment property? Pay no tax. Call R.J. Gullo Companies, qualified intermediaries for 1031 exchanges and real estate investment specialists. For a free consultation on how to pay no tax when selling investment property, call 675-1500 or online at rjgullo.com. That's 675-1500 or online at rjgullo.com.
Barbecue season is here. Wentz Propane and Oil will fill your propane tank for only $10. You can also ask about their new customer pricing for next year's heating season. Mention EG Tax and get your discount today. Call 731-9826 or 731-3015.
Chilling on the beach with a sweet Georgia peach, not a care in the world, just trying to beat the heat.
That's what we want to do. We want to make you have no cares in the world. And like I said at the top of the show, if you're planning on getting older and not dying, this is your show. Because we have Jeff Katz here, an elder care specialist and attorney who wants to help you plan. It's not just planning when you're young. Unfortunately, you have to plan about getting older so you know what to do and make those wise decisions so that you can leave something to your heirs, or you can spend it all on yourself, whatever you prefer, you know. But we have the answers because we got the man. Our phone number here in studio is 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. And we got Howard from Elma on the phone. Hi, Howard. How can we help you?
Yes, I'm not sure I heard correctly. Assume you have a couple with a home with a market value of about $150,000 and basically no other assets. If one goes into a nursing home, would he qualify for Medicaid, and would the other person be able to keep the home?
Yeah, under current law, as long as there's a community spouse, that spouse will be able to live in the home, keep the home, and the person in the nursing home, Medicaid would pay the bill. That's correct. You did hear correctly, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, Howard, thanks for calling. I'm Esther Gilius, the tax lady from EG Tax, 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. Okay, let's talk about gifting. Oh, yeah, Tiff.
I was just going to say, Jeff, that's state-driven, right? It's different state for different law for every state. So, like New York State lets you stay in the home if you're a community relationship, right?
Correct. Every state, the Medicaid program is actually a federal program that's administered by the state, so it may vary state to state. The big wrinkle we have in New York State, which most people don't know about, is that you can actually qualify for Medicaid and keep your IRA. So. For many people, their largest asset is the IRA they've accumulated, IRA, 401k as
your pension funds.
Your pension funds, those are actually treated as income by the laws of the state of New York.
So they don't make you liquidate the body of the trust. I mean the
body of the IRA. Exactly. Right? You could have a couple $100,000 in an IRA fund and qualify for Medicaid.
That's cool.
Which is it's actually a really good law that helps people of Western New York get into
So they make
nursing
you withdraw, annuitize it?
It basically annuitize it, take an income stream from it, a lot like RMD. People are familiar with the RMD required, exactly, as you know, from tax purposes. So a lot like the RMD,
so
and then
how
they
about
treat
an
income.
annuity? Would an annuity work the same? In other words, could you have 401ks, 403bs, IRAs, and an annuity?
If it's a non-qualified annuity, a non-IRA annuity, then no, that's treated as an asset. So, yep. So it has to be a qualified product, an IRA, 401k.
I'm always thinking here.
Yeah, no, you know what?
My whole thing.
You can see the wheels.
Dying is a very
Esther,
important
you got a great
part
idea
of my
there.
plans. You know, I mean, I absolutely am somebody that actively wants to know everything that I possibly can, because I watch people that come into our office who absolutely used to have assets. They did no plan. They both got sick about the same time. I can think of one couple that the couple, this gentleman worked full time at a major industry, and he really never cashed a check. He just kept buying stocks, and he tinkered around in his garage, and they lived off of the money that he did tinkering.
Wow.
And they had all this stock, and then they both became ill, and they both went into a nursing home, and they had no plan, and they were in about 5 years, and effectively when they died, there wasn't much left of the estate.
Right. It is,
and that's
actually
so sad.
Yeah, but it is actually possible. One thing we have not touched on, to do what I guess you could call crisis Medicaid planning. So even when somebody goes into a nursing home and then we haven't done planning 5 years in advance, there are methods that can be used to try and protect some of the assets. Certainly can't protect all of those. So crisis Medicaid planning,
cool.
if mom or dad end up in a nursing home, haven't done any planning, they should come and see a good elder law attorney, because there are things that can be
That
done
you can do
to protect
as
a portion
opposed
of the
to just
assets.
keep paying and paying and paying and paying.
Correct. So
Right.
so
Not that we don't love the nursing homes, right? But obviously, protecting your assets are so important, especially the people that would be Medicaid age, nursing home age right now, are usually the ones that came through the war. They said, "No, you guys eat all your food. They're starving children in China. We're going to save our money," and they did all of those kind of things that they should do,
Yep.
and then.
Sure.
Poof,
What's
poof,
known
they're
as
paying $17,000 a month.
Yeah.
Who would think?
Right, what's known as America's greatest generation are the ones that really are in nursing homes these days.
That
And
is true,
And
true,
those are the people we're trying to help.
So Jeff, can you use gifting as part of your elder plan? I mean, is that something that someone would want to do?
Absolutely. So the gifting comes in. That would be the gifting or transferring of the assets. Again, being done either 5 years in advance or under a crisis basis if somebody's in a nursing home. So when we talk about gifting, I'm sure the listeners of your show are familiar with the gift tax exemptions
Right.
that are out there. That's different than Medicaid, gifting for Medicaid purposes. So you can give away as much, in essence, as much as you want, well over the $14,000 a year exemption, because it's not tax planning, it's being done for Medicaid
Well,
purposes.
but the truth is, even from a tax plan, there is no estate taxes until you come to 5.4 million. A lot of
Exactly.
people don't even realize, even though I have to do the gift tax return, there is no gift tax.
Correct, and and those two tie together. In other words, you can give away up to $5.4 million and pay no gift tax. So therefore, you can give, basically what I tell all my clients, you can give away all your money if you
Right.
want, and there's no tax consequence.
That's right.
There might be basis issues and so forth, but that's where in the Medicaid context, it's really not a tax issue.
And
it's
so
a planning
let's
issue.
say that somebody has $1 million, and they have a stroke, and they're not going to die. They're just going to live in a non ambulatory state. Okay, and so they have to go. They are in a nursing home. If the $1 million were gifted away then, so the 5 years start ticking then?
This 5 years start ticking then, so they'd have to pay for 5 years of care.
Okay.
And then at the end of the 5 years of care, then that person would be eligible to apply for Medicaid to get Medicaid to pay the bill.
So they're going to pay about $150,000 over 5 years. So $650,000 of the million is gone, but there's still $350 left.
There'd at least be three, but the bottom line to all of that, whether it's $1 million, $500,000,
Of course, then they have
they need to do something.
house and stuff,
Yeah.
right?
So when and it's becoming much more common because it's so expensive. I can remember years ago talking with clients and saying, "Can you believe a nursing home can cost $20,000 a year?" That wasn't all that long ago,
Right,
and
now-
here we are
okay,
at
so-
150 or more.
All right, so let me ask you this. So I did all this research because nursing homes in New York State are just
Astronomical.
through the roof.
Correct.
Okay, but if you go to Pennsylvania,
Not so
it's
far
about
away.
$7,000, $5,000 a month less.
Right. In
So
Western New York. We
I
have-
told my kids, if I become babbling and drooling, put me in Texas. I don't care. I just don't want to spend the money.
What did you start to say, Jeff, about New York?
Yeah, we in Western New York we do have expensive nursing home care. I mean, as high as $500 a day, I've heard.
Yeah,
So
right.
So will New York pay Medicaid if you go to Pennsylvania?
It's a good question. No, your Medicaid is going to pay based on the state where
The
you are a
states.
resident. So if you're a resident of New York, then that's where you would be applying. But they're going to want to pay in New York.
Okay, so can you become a resident of Pennsylvania involuntarily?
In essence, yes.
So-
And somebody could become a resident of New York.
Involuntarily.
Or for as long as you meet the residency requirements. So if somebody were in this context, what it would be is, let's say somebody moves their parents from Florida to Western New
Which
York,
would make a lot of sense.
live there, so the daughter could take good care of
Yep.
mom for a while. Then they're a resident of New York, and then they could apply in New York.
Okay.
Hey, Jeff, I was wondering, I have a lot of clients that have revocable or irrevocable trust. What's the difference between a revocable and an irrevocable trust?
All right, well, let's take well, actually, Debbie's been waiting for a while.
Okay.
Let's do Debbie, then we'll talk about your question.
Wonderful.
Revocable and irrevocable trusts coming up, everybody. And we got Debbie. Hey, Deb, this is Esther. How can I help you?
Yes, I'm wondering what would be the advantage. My husband and I have this home. It's probably worth about $75,000. And what advantage would we have for that estate,
the deed with the life estate?
Children.
Yeah, the advantage is that if long-term care is required, if you plan on living in the house the rest of your lifetime,
yes,
it would generally make sense to take the house, deed it to your children, and then if one or both of you ended up in a nursing home setting, the house would get to be preserved, the value of the house for your kids, and it wouldn't have to be spent or sold in order to pay for the nursing home care.
And when you say deed it to your children, you mean through a life estate?
Deed with a life estate, correct. So we do the deed with the life estate, protect the house for both you and your children. It's kind of a perfect example if you have a couple who thinks they're going to live there the rest of their lifetime, they have kids, they want to protect the house, that's where a deed with a life estate comes in play.
Okay.
Actually, what I want to question, somebody was saying it makes a difference as far as the sale of a house or something like that as to the value of when you purchased it and, you know, what it's worth.
She's talking about the stepped-up basis.
Yeah. See, we talked about that a second ago, Deb. When you do the life estate, like Jeff was talking about, then that goes through your estate upon your death, which means you get a stepped-up basis, and your kids don't pay the capital gains on it.
Versus going to the original basis.
But if you gift it to them, where you deed it to them, and then you pass, and then they inherit it, and then they pass, and they didn't inherit it, then they have to pay the capital gains on it. So it's a great tax plan to do what Jeff is talking about, too.
To do the
life estate.
Deed with the life estate. It's probably the most common elder law planning technique that we use, and it certainly makes sense. And based on your scenario, probably makes sense for you too.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks,
Deb.
I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax. We have Jeffrey Katz, an elder law attorney and specialist, in studio. If you have any questions about your estate, whether you need a will, whether you're somebody that's thinking about gifting your house to your kids or using the life estate, have you thought about irrevocable and revocable trusts like Tiffany was talking about? We are going to talk about that after the break. We'll see you on the other side. Call in with your questions.
Well, EG Tax is open all year, and we do more than taxes. We do payroll, bookkeeping, budgeting, retirement planning, corporate business setup, offering compromises, and we even have a New York Health Navigator on staff. EG Tax was thinking of offering oil changes on cars, but then we thought we better just stick to what we do best. So for taxes and much, much more, call 632-7886 or click EG Tax today. Come join our family.
When faced with the uncertainty of an aging parent and what to do with their finances, you may have dozens of questions. Things like preparing for long-term care and the cost involved, or having the family home gifted to the children are among them. Jeffrey Katz, an elder care law attorney, will help you navigate all of the potential problems and solutions. Jeffrey Katz has been a longtime associate of EG Tax, and they are proud to recommend him to their listeners. Call Jeffrey Katz at 633-3363. That's 633-3363. Jeff will help you plan. Attention real estate investors. Thinking of selling investment property? Pay no tax. Call R.J. Gullo Companies, qualified intermediaries for 1031 exchanges and real estate investment specialists. For a free consultation on how to pay no tax when selling investment property, call 675-1500 or online at rjgullo.com. That's 675-1500 or online at rjgullo.com.
This is Attorney Dennis Kitchen. Do you have a will? You may say no because you've never had one written, but in that case, the state law determines who gets your property after you die. Wouldn't you rather decide that yourself? Then you should call my office about writing a will. We can also explain living wills, powers of attorney, and suggest other ways to preserve property or transfer it to loved ones. I'm Dennis Kitchen, and I'd like to help.
For wills and estate planning, call attorney Dennis Kitchen at 716-631-5661.
In the nation, they go by Guardian, Lifesaver, and Friend. At Nationwide Insurance, we just call them agents. We put members first because we don't have shareholders. Join the nation that cares.
Nationwide is on your side.
I have an insurance agent who cares. That's why Bill Barber has been my agent for 15 years. For any insurance needs, call Bill. 688-2199.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio, subject to underwriting guidelines, review, and approval.
Barbecue season is here. Wentz Propane and Oil will fill your propane tank for only $10. You can also ask about their new customer pricing for next year's heating season. Mention EG Tax and get your discount today. Call 731-9826 or 731-3015.
Here we go. Here we go. One more time. Everybody's feeling fine. Here we go now. Yes, here we go. When Sync has got the flow.
Oh, we like that show.
Here we go.
I like that. Here we go. I'm Esther Gulias, the tax lady, and we're talking about getting old.
Here we go.
And how to protect your assets while you're getting old. If you don't want to die, getting old is pretty good. And I have Jeffrey Katz, an elder care attorney, in studio. If you have any questions about what to do with your estate, all those things you ask at the hamburger party, maybe tomorrow you'll be talking about it. Now you can ask a real expert. 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. And Tiffany, you were asking Jeff about the difference between a revocable and irrevocable trust,
right. I have several clients that have those things in their portfolio, if you will, and just
Which
wondering. They have a revocable trust.
Okay, well, basically, first off, when we talk about a trust is an entity that would then, a person would set up to own assets. As we talk about elder law planning, protecting the assets for a nursing home, that would always be done through the form of an irrevocable trust. So a person would have to, we were talking about gifting or transferring away their assets. When the assets are gifted or transferred away, they would be transferred either to an individual, which would be your kids, or more generally a trust, an irrevocable trust.
And the trust is interesting because you still retain a lot of control.
Well, you certainly do more than an outright transfer.
Yeah.
The trust has a lot more flexibility in terms of control, in terms of what happens with it. It has to be written the appropriate way in order to be effective for Medicaid or elder law planning. Whereas a revocable trust, because that was really Tiffany's question, a revocable trust does not protect the assets for elder law for long-term care. Revocable trusts certainly have places. They have places as an alternative to a will. A revocable trust, or what's commonly known as a living trust, can be a very effective estate planning vehicle to accomplish different goals, but it's not for nursing home planning. Correct.
Right.
So
right, and a lot of times, it makes you feel good that you have a trust that you can change. But if you can change it, it really kind of doesn't.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're really looking for a shelter, a revocable trust just doesn't do it.
That really helps. I think when you said it's sort of like a will, it's sort of like a vehicle. It's a directive. It tells you what to do upon the person's passing.
Correct. A trust is really an alternative to a will.
Okay,
A will
that makes
and we really
sense.
haven't talked
That
about it, but a
makes
will is the core of an estate plan. When someone sets up an estate plan, the will directs what happens to their assets when they pass away.
I gotta redo my will.
It always gets people thinking about when we talk about wills.
I gotta redo my will too. I'm telling you. And if you haven't done your will, I'm mad at you. Let's go to the phones, and we're going to talk to Dale in Lancaster. Hey, Dale.
Hi. I have a question concerning the life estate for the house, putting your house in a life estate.
Yep.
If you live long enough to then want to sell your home, does part of the proceeds go to the children and you?
It's a wonderful question. If you have a deed with a life estate and the house is sold, the answer to that is yes. The majority of the proceeds, the greater proportion, would go to the kids. The smaller portion would go to mom or dad as they sell the house. So that has to be done that way because you've transferred the ownership, reserving only a life estate. So yeah. But again, there's options when the house is sold if the family wants to do something. But in short, the answer to your question is yes.
So let me ask you this, Jeff. So let's say we have a life estate. And I do this when I'm 60, maybe my husband just passed away and I'm all emotional, I do a life estate. What if at 65, I say to my kids, I really want to get rid of the life estate. Can I?
Absolutely. The kids can transfer
Can they deed
the house.
it back to me?
They can.
So now I got it back.
Yep, exactly.
And I've lived in it 2 out of the last 5 years, so I can sell it tax-free.
That's correct.
Right? So does that help, Dale?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, in
Good
other
question,
words,
Dale, though.
in other words, just because you did a life estate doesn't mean you can't undo a life estate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
correct. It wouldn't, you'd lose the protective element for long-term care and nursing home.
Right.
But you can certainly undo it for any other reasons, control or tax
Right,
purposes.
she might have met a nice 40-year-old guy, and hey.
There you go, Esther. Always thinking.
I'm always thinking. Thanks, Dale. Any other questions we got?
No, I think that's good.
All right, thank you, dear. Well, you always try to think of the other angles. What if,
That's right.
Keeps
What
coming
if?
up in the show, these cougars, I guess.
That's right. And we're going to go back to the phones and we're going to talk to Randy. Hey, Randy, how can we help you?
Two questions.
Yeah.
Off with savings bonds. I have quite a few savings bonds that my youngest child I acquired, probably 25 years ago. And they're different variety of amounts, $50, $100, maybe $500. And I was wondering, is there a method on how you would want to redeem them? In what order? I mean, is there a cap where somewhere along the line heard that 30 years is the max, and that doesn't make sense. But
Okay, because Randy, you want to make sure that you redeem bonds once they mature, because after that they're not paying any interest.
Well, actually, I thought just the opposite. I thought if they were getting a 4% return, and now we're talking something that's 25 years old, that face value, once it reached, say, $50 became $100, and then it just continues to...
No, it doesn't. Once it matures, it stops paying interest.
Right, and that maturity, Randy, then would be at the end of the as I think you mentioned, at the end of that 30 years, then it stops paying interest.
Right, then it's nothing.
Right, so that's where the 30 years come into play that you mentioned,
Right.
I think, Randy.
Okay, but it will continue, and like I say, nowadays, 4% return is pretty good.
No, it won't. Once you reach the maturity date, if it's 30 years, that's it. It doesn't pay any more interest.
Well, back then, I think it wasn't at 7 years or 10 years for it to double.
Well, here's the thing. You have to look at each bond because each bond has a maturity date. On the maturity date, it stops paying interest. Those would be the bonds that you'd want to cash in, because not that you would get much more in interest someplace else, but you might want to put it into another investment vehicle.
I understand.
Okay?
Seems to me that they've accumulated a greater value than just doubling. I mean,
Well, again, you have to look at the maturity date on the bond, and if you call the Federal Reserve, they can tell you specifically when those bonds mature. But you can also look at the face value of the bond too.
Right, or you can just go to savingsbonds.com.
There you go.
And you can actually plug in your specific bond, and it'll tell you how much it's worth, how much interest it's earned, and from there you could also probably extrapolate what the maturity date is. So,
Okay.
I see done that, and I see them continue to grow in value.
Yeah, they'd continue to grow until the 30-year period when they would stop. So you're correct. You could have a $50 bond that's worth $150.
Until it matures.
$50, actually,
Yep.
Okay.
That's part of the question, because is there a method to the madness? Where would you want to turn in the, say, 91 bond rather than the 93 bond? Is there a...
Well, you would want to only turn in the bonds that have matured and are no longer paying interest.
They're all matured.
And they're not growing anymore. They're all matured, not growing anymore. Correct?
Another thing to think about, Esther, is he might want to turn in some of them in 2016 and wait 6 months to turn in some more to 17 when the year turns, right?
So you mean as far as from a tax
planning standpoint.
But Randy, if the bonds are not making any more money, if they're all mature and they're not paying any more interest, then what you want to do is you want to sit down and find out exactly how much the total interest is going to be, what tax bracket you're in, and do yourself a tax plan like Tiffany is saying.
Ran.
Okay?
Right. Well, yes, but they are continuing for 30 years to keep accumulating it.
Right. But once the 30 years are up, then they stop. And that's when you'd want to take a look at cashing them in.
That's where I may want to get rid of the 91 bonds and hang on to the 93 or 94.
Right. And then if you want to call us, we'll be very happy to work up a tax plan for you so you'll know exactly how much it'll be taxable on the federal only, not on New York State.
Okay, and may I ask a quick second question?
Sure.
about 4, maybe 3 years ago, my mom, elderly, put the house with life. It's in my name, and she has life usage.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they said the only thing is that it's vulnerable for 5 years to if she was infirm for, nursing, or she had to be into a nursing home, then they could start dipping. But after the 5-year mark, it would escape that.
That would be correct, Jeff?
That's correct. That's the deed with life estate we've been talking
Right.
about.
The
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, well, our show's almost over. We're so thankful that Jeff Katz was here. If you need great help with your estate issues, Jeff his phone number is 633-3363. Jeffrey Katz with Katz and Berry on Main Street in Clarence. I'm Esther Golias. Have a great week.
Thank
Stay
you,
warm.
Esther.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Jeff.
WBEN Buffalo, WKSE HD3 Niagara Falls.